Good morning, legal minds. So the 2022 elections are upon us today, but what will happen in 2024? DeSantis and Trump are the reigning kings on the MAGA right, but Biden is likely not to run, let alone survive until 2024. So who will the Democrats turn to? Do you think it will be Buttigieg, Newsom, Whitmer? I don't think so. The person who will likely take the 2024 Democratic ticket might just surprise you. Stick around to find out. Trump and his MAGA base seem to be absolutely unstoppable. Even NPR has had to admit that only one Trump-endorsed incumbent lost his election. That was in North Carolina, Representative Madison Cawthorn. I think we all know why he lost, but in case you weren't aware, even the NBC host can break that one down for you here. Let's watch.
What's the takeaway from that one?
Sometimes, Joe, there are just too many scandals, too many controversies that it overwhelms you. What really did stand out to me, the incumbent Senator Thom Tillis ended up endorsing Chuck Edwards, the candidate who ended up defeating Madison Cawthorn. And so a lot of members of the Republican establishment basically moved in to defeat Cawthorn despite Donald Trump's endorsement.
So we all knew Madison Cawthorn wasn't going to win. But we didn't know how spicy his entire political campaign was going to be. I would suggest not to go Googling Cawthorn in ladies' clothing now, or those prude establishment Republicans might start wagging their finger at you like a child. But we're all adults on this channel after all, so let's not. Overall, Trump's endorsements have proven to be fairly strong. 40% of his endorsed challengers overcome the incumbents in their district, which sounds fairly low at 40%. But it's actually an incredible feat. Incumbents typically win their re-election. Of the races that were open, 41 of 45 of his endorsements have won, and those races aren't all over yet. That's 91% at this point. Trump is looking strong, you might say. But so is his main competition for 2024, and that is Ron DeSantis, or Ron DeSantimonious, according to Trump recently. And he is down in that Gator State fighting for the gubernatorial race today. Mainstream knows how strong DeSantis is looking. Even in DeSantis' gubernatorial race, the media couldn't help but get in jabs constantly about his potential run for presidential office or another federal office. Neither could his opponent during the recent debate for governor. Let's go ahead and watch that exchange now.
I have a question for you. You're running for governor. Why don't you look in the eyes of the people of the state of Florida and say to them, if you're reelected, you will serve a full 4-year term as governor? Yes or no? Yes or no, Ron? Will you serve a full 4-year term if you're reelected governor of Florida? It's not a tough question. It's a fair question. He won't tell you.
We did not agree on the candidates asking each other questions. Governor, it's your turn.
Well, listen, I know that Charlie's interested in talking about 2024 and Joe Biden, but I just want to make things very, very clear. The only worn-out old donkey I'm looking to put out to pasture is Charlie Crist.
So we all know DeSantis is an absolute pistol, and it is incredible to watch. This is why so many Trump supporters love him. He can take mud, he can sling it right back twofold sometimes, and honestly, there is no way DeSantis is losing Florida's governor race today. Even 538 has DeSantis up around 10%, and his lead continued to grow until Election Day. Let's not kid ourselves, though. Crist is not the only worn-out old donkey DeSantis is looking to put out to pasture. He is taking on the entire Democratic Party at this point, and everyone knows it, including mainstream media. But who from the Democrats do you think has a chance? Put your ideas in the comments below. Between DeSantis and Trump, it's a tough call, but I think I'd have to agree with Megyn Kelly on this one. What
do you want to happen with the Trump-DeSantis thing?
Well, I just don't think anybody else could win if Trump runs. So, and I don't know.
You think if they got on a stage, you don't think that DeSantis is crafty enough or the record stands enough to really? Interesting.
No, I don't even think that a little. I think Trump sucks up all the energy in every room, no matter what. And even someone as skilled as a politician and smart policy-wise as DeSantis can't overcome that. He can't. the only way DeSantis is going to become the Republican nominee is if Trump chooses not to run and endorses him or dies. Like, I just don't see a world in which Trump says, I want it. Let's say he says, I want it, and DeSantis beats him fair and square in the primary. You really think the hardcore MAGA is going to abandon Trump for DeSantis? They're not. I talk to them all the time. I take calls from them on my radio show, and they won't. They like DeSantis, but they don't think it's his turn. They think Trump was screwed out of his last election, that he was screwed out of his first term by all the craziness, the Russiagate and so on. And they think he is entitled. He deserves another shot at it. And so unless Trump gracefully and graciously says, get behind DeSantis, I wouldn't put any chips on DeSantis.
On the other hand, Democrats are in a absolute panic. They have no idea what they are going to do. Do you impeach Biden and wind up with Kamala now? Do you attempt to have Biden run again in 2024? If I were a betting man, I'd wager Democrats will see the 2022 midterms as a sign to throw Biden under the bus, with a little back and forth driving by mainstream media for good measure. We all know Biden has been a puppet up to this point, and he will serve the Democrats one last time as a puppet, as their fall guy in 2024. Everything will be Biden's fault. Nothing about the Democrats or their policies that they've done will have been what got us here. Purely just Biden. So who on the Democrats does have a chance at running for the president? We all know it's not going to be Kamala. She's hated by almost everyone. Would it be Pete Buttigieg? Possibly, but probably not. If I were a betting man, I have a different idea. Unless the Democrats really do pull a dark horse out of a magic bag, my guess would be between the 2022 midterms and 2024, Democrats will start boosting one of their lesser known, yet well supported and connected puppets. The current governor of a little California is my bet, and that is the governor Jared Polis of Colorado. Although his race has not been publicized like the Florida gubernatorial race, and he isn't being called out at his debates for having grand aspirations for presidential office, I'm confident Jared Polis is eyeing grander things than just Colorado. This man is loaded and connected. His net worth is estimated to be over $100 million. He is a perfect fit to try to put back the Democratic Party. He is a quote-unquote libertarian Democrat, but let's be real, he just wants to legalize his friend's cannabis and other drug companies. We're looking at psilocybin and psychedelics this year on the ballot. I'm all for taking on the war on drugs, but this guy also heavily supports all the Democrat policies up and down the board. Just this July, Governor Polis issued an executive order that declares no one who is lawfully providing assistance, seeking, or obtaining reproductive health care in Colorado should be subject to legal liability or professional sanctions in Colorado or any other state. Nor will Colorado cooperate with criminal or civil investigations for actions that are fully legal in our state. As you may know, Colorado permits the murder of unborn babies with no time restrictions currently. He is a perfect puppet to bring the far-left anarcho-socialists and Antifa type and the neoliberal left back together, at least on the surface, much similar to what Obama was capable of doing. But how well does he debate? For reference, let's go ahead and take his closing statement at his recent gubernatorial debate.
To our viewers at home, thank you for doing the research and taking the time to learn about the candidates for governor, because who we choose makes a big difference in protecting and expanding freedom in Colorado. It's simple. I support more freedom and lower taxes. I've delivered on that as governor for the last 4 years, and I'll continue to fight every day to expand freedom and make Colorado the very best state in the nation to live, to work, to raise a family, and retire. My opponent's a mad mom. I'm a happy dad. I know there's a lot of happy moms and dads out there that of course recognize that Colorado is doing some amazing work. Maybe it's a teacher you like at your local neighborhood school. Maybe it's the fact that the highway you commute to work on is finally getting repaired. Maybe it's you just got a promotion at work. But I know that Coloradans also know that there's a lot of work ahead. And our next governor will be tasked with keeping costs low, making housing more affordable, and continuing to work to expand the American dream right here in Colorado. I take the experience from the business sector that I created growing companies and expanding opportunity to help make sure I use that to make government more efficient, leaner and meaner. We're reducing our state offices by over 1 million square feet and passing those savings along to taxpayers by reducing costs. Colorados have the opportunity to choose either an out-of-touch extreme candidate for governor who's dead set on taking Colorado backwards. She herself is candidate for governor, or we can choose a problem solver. I'm data driven. I believe in taking the best ideas from the left, the right, the middle, from everywhere to move Colorado forward and improve the quality of life for the residents of our great state. I love Colorado. We're raising our kids here. I'll always do what's right for Colorado and deliver in making Colorado an even more amazing place. Together, we're going to make Colorado one of the 10 safest states over the next 5 years. Together, we're going to reduce the cost of housing both for ownership and rental. And together, we're going to make sure that Colorado continues to be the very best place to live in the entire
whether
country.
Polis is going to make another attempt at federal office is unknown. He does have experience in Congress, but we do know he is watching the larger culture war more broadly. He even granted asylum to poor little Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, who have been getting absolutely destroyed by DeSantis in Florida in the culture war. During the debate, he had two main moments in which he actually directly addressed federal issues as opposed to merely Colorado issues. When asked about the massive amount of water rights in Colorado being purchased by China, this is what Polis
outspoken in my criticisms of China. In fact, we hosted the Taiwanese president here in Colorado 2 years ago, and I was proud to celebrate Taiwan Independence Day just a few weeks ago with our friends that suffer under the threat invasion every day, and we stand in solidarity as a state with the people of Ukraine, with the people of Taiwan, and with everybody who aspires to the freedoms that we can't take for granted here in our own state and nation, but we fight every day to protect and to expand.
When asked what is going to happen to current Colorado coal towns in 2030 when state policies will shut them down, Polis responded by expanding it back out onto the global level. Let's go ahead and watch.
The increase in utility rates my opponent cited is entirely due to the spike in natural gas prices. Now, that's largely due to the war in Ukraine and other factors, but it shows why we can't rely on this global commodity and take away control from Coloradans and give it to people across the world. We experienced the same thing with the winter storms in Texas from 2 years ago. Coloradans were left holding the bag, not just Coloradans, Oklahomans, Texans, many others, because it was passed along to ratepayers when natural gas prices spiked. We need to be energy independent, and we need to make sure that we're not beholden to international commodities markets or the decisions of Russian dictators. Look, we were the first state in the country to not only create but support and fund a just transition office to work on the future for communities that have traditionally worked in the fossil fuel industry and in coal and Hayden, and of course working with the public retirement of the Comanche coal plant. The truth is that coal is the most expensive form of energy on the grid right now, 8 to 10 cents per kilowatt hour. New solar energy is in the 2 to 3 cent per kilowatt hour range, wind energy about 4 cents per kilowatt hour, depending on the scale of the project. But the sooner that we can stop subsidizing coal by forcing consumers to pay more, the more we'll save money for Coloradans. And of course, we want to make sure we do this in a way that invests in a strong future for Craig, for Hayden, supporting the outdoor recreation industry, advanced manufacturing, geothermal. Colorado is part of a group of states that we're leading with Utah, New Mexico, and Wyoming for a hydrogen hub for federal funding, great opportunities in the hydrogen economy. I believe that Colorado, Craig and Hayden's best days are still ahead. And if I'm reelected governor, we'll work to make it happen.
So as you can see, this man is a federal player. The fact that he does not get as much flack as Ron DeSantis is another example of the media bias we always hear so much about. Ultimately, if I were a betting man, I would bet that Biden will not run for office again and Polis will be the leading Democrat candidate to replace him. But what do you guys think? Put your ideas in comments below. We know that you have the best legal minds of all. Until next time, 'twas a legal mind signing off. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos.